welcome back to Toyota Sports Talk. It's been a little bit, but always great to have Jake Russell of the Washington Post joining us. Jake, as always, appreciate your time. How are things?
Things are great. As always, I appreciate the invite, Scott.
So, want to dive into those Nationals. We've talked numerous times before the season. We knew it was kind of be the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's what it's been. Your colleague, Barry Svrluga, great column the other day about how July could be one of the biggest months in franchise history. Are you on board with that assessment?
Well, I do agree with basically everything he said in the sense that everything off the field is a lot more interesting than anything that's going on the field right now. The on-field product is not great. And, a word I would give to Nats fans is, I wouldn't be that upset, if I was a Nats fan saying, lose as much as possible. And that sounds like a terrible thing to say, but one of the worst things you can be in sports is mediocre and stuck in purgatory. So if you're going to be bad, record-wise, be bad. And so, of course, when they're in this position, Major League Baseball is going to enact an MLB draft lottery for the first time in 2023. So if the Nats are in the bottom three of Major League Baseball record-wise, then I believe, if I looked it up, if I remember correctly, the bottom three teams will have a 16.5% chance of getting them one overall pick. So, if you're going to be bad, at least give yourself a shot at the number one overall pick and then the top pick in every round afterwards to give yourself the best chance of replenishing your minor league system. So that's regarding on the field. Off the field, it's basically the biggest decisions are happening off the field right now. The negotiations with Juan Soto. How is that going to play out?
Yep.
Will he agree to a deal eventually? Will he keep rejecting it and, take himself to free agency? Will the Nats trade him next year? Will the Nats keep him? That's the biggest question with Juan Soto. Regarding ownership, that is the biggest question in terms of overall direction of the franchise. And I would imagine if you're a new ownership group looking at this franchise, you would want Juan Soto on your roster, your team, your franchise, a lot more marketable. The fans that are coming to the stadium now, the biggest drawing card is Juan Soto. That's the primary person they're coming to watch play. So if you're telling yourself, I have a few $1 billion to spare, let me buy a baseball team, who can I market this team around? Well, that's the guy right now. So if you're buying a team, it just makes all the sense in the world to keep him on your roster as long as possible. But I don't have a couple $1 billion to spare, so what do I know?
We wish, right? You mentioned Juan Soto. One of the other few bright spots on this team has been Josh Bell. I would be surprised, Jake, if he is not traded by the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think I have a better chance of being on the Nats roster in August than he does, because he's playing so well. But they're still in a rebuilding mode, and they don't really want to call it rebuilding. They're hesitant to say that. Mike Rizzo's, pushing the idea that it's going to be quick, that they're going to be in contention sooner than people think. But that remains to be seen. Obviously, they would have to do a lot of work this offseason. But Josh Bell is the biggest trade piece they have right now. He's been performing at a high level all season, and when you're in this type of situation, I believe his contract runs out after this season. So when you're in this type of situation, it's only fair. As the Nats, when you're not contending for anything this year, it's only fair that you give Josh Bell an opportunity to play for a contender if that's where he wants to go, and simultaneously help your franchise and give yourself the best return back as possible. Kind of capitalize off Bell's strong season. Ideally, he would go to a playoff contender, but I think the Nats would also have to get a fair return. So it'll be a deal that's fair for both sides.
Stephen Strasburg. Where are you at with him, Jake?
It's hard to say. It's the contract is that they gave him is kind of like a thank you, essentially, for your contributions over the years, for battling back from your injuries before you signed this contract.
Good way of putting it.
And thank you for playing the vital role that you did for the World Series for the Nats. So, I guess if you look at it from that perspective, you just shrug your shoulders and go, well, he brought the Nats a World Series title. He won the World Series MVP. You couldn't have asked more of him in that span. And you just can never, going forward now, you just can't expect him to be healthy. You know, me personally, I was cynical when he made his debut in Miami. I said, you know, it's probably be about a week until he's put on the injured list again, or how many more innings until he starts shaking his arm and he's like, not feeling great. And unfortunately, I was right. I didn't like being right because I don't like injuries. I don't like players getting hurt.
Right.
I want them to be as healthy as possible. I want games to be decided by, you know, talent and strategy and not injuries. So I felt bad for him because, of course, he's making a boatload of money, but that doesn't matter. He's a competitor. He wants to play. Like, that's why he's fought back, you know, all these months to get back on the field and, you know, stay, you know, on the mound and do your job. That's what he wants to do. So I feel bad for him that he keeps missing all this time, and I guarantee you he hates it. So I guess just for anybody watching the Nats, the mindset is just don't expect him to be healthy again. And if he is, anything you get out of him is a bonus.
Jake, you got a great Nationals book for our viewers. So what's going on there?
It's called 100 Things Nationals Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. If fans want autographed copies, they can go to jakerussellsports.com and click on the Nationals book tab, and I'll sign a copy and have it shipped out within 24 hours. So it's hard to beat that kind of customer service.
Love it. He is Jake Russell of the Washington Post. Great talking Nats with you as always. Hopefully down the road we can talk some positivity again.
Fingers crossed, Scott. Fingers crossed.
All right, Jake. Thank you so much. Much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Stay with us.